Today, we are finally going to take a look at the Jura E8. And this one right here is the EB model. There's two models available right now that you can buy, the EB, which is the older one, and the EC, which is newer. And you did hear me right, I said Jura. In German, they pronounce the J like a Y. So, let's take a look at this machine today. We want to see, considering how expensive it is, considering the fact that the company is from Switzerland. What can we expect? Is the Espresso better than DeLonghi, for example, or Philips? And what about the build quality? How good is it? So I'm just going to start by showing you the machine. It is made out of plastic, just like, pretty much all super automatics are. It's got a drip tray that's got a water sensor on it, so that's kind of nice. Tells you when it's full, and a normal size grounds catch tray, I would say. What I have noticed is that just like Philips, this part here is plastic. So that's a little disappointing considering it's a Swiss company. It's not, however, made in Switzerland. At least my model is made in Portugal. Now, what's interesting about the machine is it's got some, kind of like some hidden features. This is the water tank, and you'll see it's got a water filter in there. And what's really interesting about this water filter is that it's got an RFID in it. So there's an RFID chip reader here in the bottom. I've already taken this thing apart. It reads it, so it knows when you put it in, and it knows the duration of the time in here, and will tell you when to change it out. That's interesting. Something else that I appreciate about the machine is the fact that it comes with a removable chute. So with this chute, you can go ahead and put some pre-ground coffee in there. Very nice. And you can clean this, because this may get moldy if you don't clean it. It's got, for the grinder, that's interesting. What else I haven't quite figured out is that if you open this flap, then it expects you to put coffee in there. And once you close the flap, then it checks for coffee. And it's telling me not enough ground coffee. That's really interesting. I don't see any sensor on that flap. I don't know how that works. Very interesting, actually. But yeah, the build, I would say, is pretty much like most other super automatics. It's made out of a plastic shell, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily any better than the DeLonghis that I've taken apart. What I do like about it is that it's pretty intuitive. It's got a nice display on there. You can choose the drinks just by switching back and forth on the menu. Like so. There's arrows on there, and you can choose like that. You can also go into a programming menu, and in the programming menu, you can go ahead and choose the volume of your drinks and also the bean amount. So so that's a pretty nice thing that you can do with this machine. What else I gotta say right away is, and what I am happy about, is that this does make up to 15 gram pucks. And it's also, it's very fast in grinding. It takes only 5 seconds to grind 15 grams, which is good and bad. Number one's fast, but it's bad because the grinds are not very fine. So I do find that the espresso, the coffee drinks, they're lacking a little something in depth of flavor. What else we got going on here is on this side, you've got hot water coming out of here, and you can also froth milk. So that's what you've got going on here on the side. This guy just drops out really easily for cleaning as well. And the Jura comes with automated cleaning options. So you can, for example, clean the whole machine by dropping a cleaning tablet in the grounds chute and pressing clean. It'll go through a whole sequence, clean the brew group, and flush all that water out of the spouts here and out of these spouts for the hot water. So that's nice. It also has a descaling program, of course, and it's got a program for doing a deep clean here on your milk frother. So the automations are nice, but there is a negative point to mention right away with the Jura, and that is there is no access to the brew group. So I've taken the sides off and the top off in order to be able to clean the grinder, but I still couldn't get at the brew group. So that's quite unfortunate that they make this hard to service for yourself. That's a big negative point for me. One more thing I wanted to mention about this machine is very loud. So you hear that turning inside. I've opened up the cover and had a look. There's a gear turning there to manipulate the brew group, and that sucker is loud. So not a quiet machine by any means, but what are you gonna do? With all that being said, I think we should just go ahead and make a drink. So I've already got this set up to the amount I want. I have chosen the highest bean amount for all of my drinks, and I've chosen the volume to be a bit lower. So let's take a look. We'll see what we get. Espresso. It looks pretty nice and creamy. And we get out 29 grams. So we got exactly a 1-to-2 ratio there because I used a 15-gram puck. Espresso's not bad. Missing a bit in the depth of flavor. I got a tinge of chocolate notes. The body is just a little bit weak. I would compare this to something like a Magnifica Evo. Now, if you're a regular watcher of my channel, you probably know that one of my favorite drinks right away in the morning is what the Germans call coffee, Crema. Very tasty. And that's what we're gonna do next. And on the coffee Crema, I've got it set up the same, largest bean amount. I got it set for 150 milliliters and the hottest temperature. So let's see what that looks like. And by the way, guys, if you are liking this video, I would ask you for two things. Number one, give the video a like. It does take a lot of time to make these. And number two, consider subscribing to this video. If you do that, that tells me I should make more videos like this one. Okay, coffee. All right, I got out 140 grams there, so quite close to the goal of 150. And you see, ooh, I got a nice head of crema on there. Very nice. And as you see here, it did come out pretty hot. Oh, it's delicious. Of course, that's a longer coffee. It's got a head of crema on there, which I like. But because it is longer, it's going to have obviously less texture to it. But I also get some different notes in there. I get a bit more sweetness out of it, actually. And something that reminds me a little bit of almond. So anyhow, makes a good coffee crema. With that being said, I do think that it could be better if it would grind just a little finer. All right, let's move on. Oops. Let's move on to a milk-based drink. To make a milk-based drink, all you have to do is remove a little cover on the side here. Put in this tube here, and then you put the tube into the milk. So this is 3.8% fat whole milk, and it's what I like to use for my cappuccinos, latte macchiatos, because it gives me the silkiest, tastiest texture. What's interesting, you'll notice that this machine moves the espresso over to this side when it's making a milk-based drink. Now I'm going to press cappuccino. Normally, traditionally, cappuccino is espresso first and then milk. But this machine, just like all the other super automatics, does the milk first. Cappuccino. Alright, so this is what the milk drink looks like. Pretty good. Microfoam. I would compare it to something like what you get from DeLonghi, like the Elite Explorer or the Magnifica Plus. The creaminess is quite good, especially if you use nice, fresh, whole milk. You're going to get a pretty good result there. Temperature, very important. People always want to know. Temperature looks like 50 degrees Celsius, so it's a little bit on the lower side, admittedly, with the frothed milk. How's it taste? Nice and creamy. Could be a tinge more espresso taste in there, but you can adjust the ratios to how you want. You could truncate the amount of milk in there. I do wish it was a little hotter, like 5 degrees Celsius hotter would be nice. But all in all, pretty good cappuccino. I would put it better than Phillips for sure. And probably, yeah, in the realm of DeLonghi as well. Now, of course, you got to clean this guy. To clean it, just remove it like this. And then you have to take it apart and run it underwater. So all these parts just come right off. It's pretty easy to do. Just pulls out. Run this guy underwater. And then put it back together. And you're good to go. There's also a special cleaning program that you're supposed to run on occasion with this milk foamer, where you use a special solution from Jura, and that's for a deeper clean. Now, a question that I always get in my videos is, can you use pre-ground coffee? Can you toss them in the chute? Yes, you can. I got some lighter roasted beans here, or medium, let's say, from a local roaster. These are supposed to have notes of orange and apple in there. So I got 15 grams dosed out. And I'm just going to use my hand grinder here. I'm going to grind these guys up and we'll toss them in. One other thing I want to show you is that, of course, you can split the shots if you want. I'm going to open up the flap. The machine then expects coffee. Toss it in there. Make sure it's all in, close the flap, it checks for it. That's pretty cool. And then espresso. So there we got our 2 split shots there. So you can do it like that if you want. I do get a good amount of acidity out of this bean. And what I should have done is actually extended the ratio because it's a little bit on the sour side. And I do want to show you that real quick. You can do something really cool with this machine. And that is extend the ratio on the fly. So if I say I want an espresso, but if I see based on the progress bar, oh, I want to extend it, then I can extend it on the fly. Very nice. So you see that way, I get a bunch more out than what I got before. So that extending the ratio on the fly, that is a really cool feature of this Jura. That pretty much does it for the demo, but I do want to show you the drinks it's got. So it's got espresso, as I showed you, coffee crema. It's got a ristretto, which is simply a shorter ratio. It's got hot water, and then it's got espresso doppio, macchiato, cappuccino, flat white, latte macchiato, and milk. So you can do milk on its own. And all those milk-based drinks, you know, they're really quite similar. A flat white on this machine and a latte macchiato and a cappuccino are going to be, in my experience, the same thing. So there are two more things I'd like to tell you about this Jura E8. And one of them is the hot water. We want to see how hot it can get on the hottest setting. And then also, if you open up the side here, there's a little blue dongle in there, and that is for Bluetooth connectivity to the app. So we're going to have a look at the app and see what you can see from there, what kind of information. And in fact, I think you can even start a drink if you just press on hot water, for example. Preparing a drink in 1 second. Okay, let's see. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so the temperature, let's see what's in the cup. Not quite hot enough, I wouldn't say. It got up to a max of about, I don't know, 80 something degrees Celsius. But I'd say hot water is not really hot enough. It must be too much flow through the heater for the heater to keep up with that. That's too bad. All right, so the app does show you some cool stuff, like shows you the filter, if that's in good condition, your cleaning schedule, if you need to clean soon, milk cleaning, same thing, as well as descaling. And then if you just have a look at the machine itself, you can find, if you go to the home page, you can find different drinks. So you can start a ristretto, an espresso, a latte macchiato, and so on and so forth. You can start the drinks from here, which is nice. You can also set the milliliters that you want out. So you can set the volumes. That's quite nice. Yeah, very cool. Interface actually works well, much better than DeLonghi. So yeah, the app actually looks pretty neat. You can even go to their shop there and you can order stuff from them. So the filters and so on and so forth. So yeah, pretty neat app and nice and responsive. Yeah, what do I think about the Jura E8? Is it worth the money? Yes or no? And what about the maintenance and all that kind of stuff? So for me, I think in Europe, it's worth a good look. In Europe, it only costs 900. I think you can find the EB model for, or about 1,000 or 1,100 euros for the EC model. In America, though, it's really way more expensive. And it always has been. That doesn't even have to do with the impending tariffs. In the States, this sucker costs like $2,400. That's crazy. I think it makes good drinks. I do wish that you could grind just a little finer. I've only got 5 settings on mine, and I really know that the DeLonghi can grind finer, which for me gets a bit more depth of flavor out of the beans. So for me, like, the more expensive DeLonghis win on the quality of the espresso drinks. So the Elite Explore, the Magnifica Plus, the Dynamica Plus make, for me, better drinks than the E8. It does a good job on the milk, however. It's pretty easy to clean the milk frother. I don't mind that. Maintenance, I'm not the biggest fan of because you can't remove the brew group. I do think that's a pain in the butt that you're not allowed to do that. They expect you to call them if you got any issues. They got phone numbers here on the side of the unit so that you can call if you have any issues. So I'm sure the service is good, but it's not going to be cheap, and yeah, there's certain things that are blocked, such as the brew group. Quality wise, I would say it's on par with DeLonghi. It's not better than DeLonghi in my opinion in regards to build. And DeLonghi, for example, uses metal covers on their drip trays. So I prefer DeLonghi in that way. What is neat is they have a light integrated. You've probably seen the light turn on as it starts to make a drink. I think that the menu navigation is pretty clear. It's better, in my opinion, than DeLonghi. So I would say screen, menu, navigation, that's all pretty good. It's a well thought out machine. I just wish it was easier to get inside, easier to do things on your own. With all of that being said, interesting machine, cool features such as the RFID on the water filter, that it knows when its flap is open or closed. That's interesting. And that this is removable so that you can clean it, which is important because you don't want this to mold. It's an interesting product. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching the video. I hope it was helpful for you. Until next time, I say happy coffee drinking, happy espresso drinking. Bye now.